Niccolò Machiavelli, born in 1469 in Florence, Italy, is one of the most iconic and controversial figures in the history of political thought. Often associated with cunning and ruthless strategies, his name has become synonymous with the darker side of power. Yet, Machiavelli was far more than a symbol of manipulation. He was a philosopher, diplomat, and writer who sought to understand the realities of governance in a tumultuous world. Living through a period of constant political upheaval, Machiavelli served as a diplomat for the Florentine Republic during its brief independence from the Medici family. His experiences with unstable alliances, wars, and power struggles deeply influenced his ideas. These reflections culminated in his most famous work, The Prince, a guide for rulers on how to acquire and maintain power. Machiavelli's legacy remains as complex as his writings. Was he advocating for tyranny, or simply revealing uncomfortable truths about human nature and leadership? To understand his enduring impact, we must delve into his life, his philosophy, and the turbulent world that shaped him. Chapter 1: Florence and the Foundations of Power. Florence in the late 15th century was a city of unparalleled creativity and constant conflict. As the cradle of the Renaissance, it produced artists and thinkers who transformed culture. Yet its political landscape was fractured by power struggles among noble families, foreign invasions, and internal revolts. Machiavelli was born into a middle-class family without significant political influence. Though his upbringing lacked grandeur, Florence's vibrant intellectual atmosphere provided fertile ground for his curiosity about history and politics. From an early age, he was drawn to the works of classical authors like Livy and Tacitus, whose accounts of Roman governance would later shape his ideas. In 1494, Florence underwent a dramatic upheaval. The Medici family, who had dominated the city for decades, were overthrown and the Republic was reinstated. This period of Republican rule, marked by both optimism and instability, coincided with Machiavelli's entry into public service. At 29, he was appointed secretary to the Second Chancery, responsible for diplomatic correspondence and military affairs. During his tenure, Machiavelli embarked on numerous diplomatic missions, meeting powerful figures such as Cesare Borgia and Pope Julius II. These experiences exposed him to the practical realities of power, its fragility, its brutality, and the strategies leaders employed to preserve it. He became an astute observer of human behavior, noting that ambition and self-interest often outweighed morality. Florence's Republican experiment faced constant threats from within and beyond its borders. Neighboring city-states, including Venice and Milan, sought to expand their influence, while foreign powers like France and Spain frequently invaded Italy. The Republic's reliance on mercenary armies, which Machiavelli criticized as unreliable and self-serving, further weakened its position. In 1512, the Medici returned to power with the help of Spanish forces, bringing an end to the Florentine Republic. Machiavelli, viewed as a loyal servant of the fallen government, was arrested, tortured, and exiled from political life. This personal and professional downfall marked a turning point, forcing him to retreat to his estate and channel his energies into writing. Despite his exile, Machiavelli remained deeply invested in the fate of Florence and Italy. His observations of political chaos, combined with his study of history, fueled his desire to create a framework for effective governance. This ambition laid the foundation for his most enduring works, where he sought to reconcile the ideals of stability and pragmatism in an unpredictable world. Florence's turbulent politics were both Machiavelli's greatest challenge and his greatest inspiration. The city's shifting alliances and relentless conflicts offered him a front-row seat to the interplay of ambition, power, and betrayal. These experiences shaped his belief that strong, decisive leadership was the key to navigating the uncertainties of political life. The Florence of Machiavelli's time was not unique in its chaos, but its intensity left an indelible mark on his thought. By immersing himself in its complexities, he developed a perspective on power that would transcend his era, offering lessons for leaders across centuries. Chapter 2: The Writing of The Prince. In 1513, after his dismissal and exile from Florence, Machiavelli turned to writing as both a refuge and a means of re-engaging with politics. It was during this period of isolation at his family estate in Sant'Andrea in Percasina that he wrote The Prince, the work that would define his legacy. Dedicated to Lorenzo de' Medici, The Prince was intended as both a practical guide for rulers and an attempt to regain favor with the Medici family. The structure of The Prince is straightforward yet profound. Machiavelli begins by categorizing different types of states: hereditary principalities, newly acquired territories, and republics. He then provides detailed advice on how rulers can acquire and maintain these states, drawing on both historical examples and his observations of contemporary politics. One of Machiavelli's most controversial claims is that morality must often be subordinated to pragmatism in the pursuit of power. He argues that rulers cannot afford to be bound by conventional ethics, as their primary responsibility is the stability and security of their state. For Machiavelli, the ends, protecting the state, justify the means, even if those means involve deception, manipulation, or violence. Central to The Prince is the concept of virtue, a term that encompasses qualities such as strength, adaptability, and decisiveness. Machiavelli believed that a successful ruler must possess virtue to navigate the unpredictable forces of fortuna or fortune. Fortuna, which he likened to a river that could flood without warning, could be managed by those who were prepared and bold. One of the most famous passages in The Prince addresses the question of whether it is better for a ruler to be loved or feared. Machiavelli concludes that, while being both is ideal, it is safer to be feared than loved, as fear compels obedience even when loyalty falters. However, he warns that fear must not turn into hatred, as this could lead to rebellion. Machiavelli also emphasizes the importance of appearances. A ruler should strive to appear virtuous, even if their actions are guided by necessity rather than morality. This focus on perception reflects his understanding of the role public opinion plays in maintaining power, a lesson that resonates strongly in the modern age of politics and media. The examples Machiavelli uses in The Prince are drawn from history and his personal experiences. He praises leaders like Cesare Borgia, who combined cunning and ruthlessness to consolidate power, and criticizes those who failed to adapt to changing circumstances. These case studies provide vivid illustrations of his theories and ground his philosophy in real-world events. Despite its focus on autocratic rule, The Prince is not entirely devoid of ethical considerations. Machiavelli recognized the importance of maintaining the trust and support of the populace. He argued that unnecessary cruelty, or the perception of injustice, could undermine a ruler's authority, leading to instability. The dedication of The Prince to Lorenzo de' Medici suggests that Machiavelli hoped to regain a political role under Medici rule. While this effort was unsuccessful, the treatise cemented his reputation as a keen observer of power. Over time, The Prince has been interpreted in multiple ways. Some see it as a sincere guide for rulers, others as a critique of the ruthless methods often employed by leaders. The Prince is more than a handbook for rulers. It is a reflection on the complexities of power and human nature. Its concise and direct style makes it accessible, while its provocative ideas ensure its relevance in debates about leadership and governance. Through this work, Machiavelli challenged traditional notions of morality and opened a new chapter in political philosophy. Chapter 3: Discourses on Livy and Machiavelli's Republican Vision. While The Prince is Machiavelli's most famous work, it represents only one facet of his political philosophy. In Discourses on Livy, written around the same time, Machiavelli offers a broader and more optimistic vision of governance. This text focuses on the principles of republicanism, exploring how collective power and shared responsibility can create a stable and prosperous state. Drawing on the histories of ancient Rome, Machiavelli uses Discourses on Livy to analyze the success of the Roman Republic and to propose lessons for contemporary governance. Unlike The Prince, which centers on the power of individual rulers, the Discourses celebrate the power of institutions and the role of citizens in maintaining a balanced government. A central theme in Discourses on Livy is liberty, which Machiavelli views as essential for a thriving state. He argues that a republic's strength lies in its ability to balance competing interests, such as those of the aristocracy and the common people. This balance, achieved through laws and institutions, prevents any one group from dominating the state and ensures a more equitable distribution of power. Machiavelli also emphasizes the importance of civic virtue in republican governance. He believes that a successful republic depends on the active participation of its citizens, who must prioritize the common good over personal gain. This idea contrasts sharply with the more pragmatic and individualistic advice found in The Prince, highlighting the duality of Machiavelli's thought. The Discourses reflect Machiavelli's belief in the cyclical nature of history. He argues that all states, whether monarchies or republics, are subject to cycles of growth, corruption, and decline. However, he also believes that strong institutions and periodic reforms can delay this decline, offering a way to sustain stability and prosperity over time. Machiavelli's analysis of the Roman Republic includes a detailed examination of conflict and its role in governance. Unlike many of his contemporaries who viewed internal strife as a sign of weakness, Machiavelli saw it as a potential source of strength. He argued that the tensions between Rome's patricians and plebeians helped to create laws and institutions that benefited the entire society. The Discourses also highlight Machiavelli's views on military organization. As in The Prince, he criticizes the reliance on mercenaries, advocating instead for citizen armies. He sees a strong, disciplined military as essential not only for defense, but also for fostering a sense of unity and responsibility among the populace. Machiavelli's republican ideals are not utopian. He recognizes that human nature is inherently flawed and that individuals are often driven by self-interest. However, he believes that a well-structured republic can channel these tendencies in ways that benefit the state as a whole. This pragmatic approach distinguishes him from other Renaissance thinkers who emphasized idealized visions of governance. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Discourses is its exploration of the role of religion in politics. While Machiavelli is critical of the Catholic Church's influence on Italian politics, he acknowledges the importance of religion in promoting social cohesion and moral behavior. He praises the early Romans for using religion as a tool to unify their citizens and strengthen their institutions. Discourses on Livy provides a valuable counterpoint to The Prince, offering a more collaborative and institutional vision of governance. Together, these works reveal the depth and complexity of Machiavelli's thought, showing that he was not merely an advocate of autocratic rule, but also a thinker deeply concerned with the foundations of liberty and civic responsibility. By drawing lessons from the past, Machiavelli hoped to inspire a future where states could achieve lasting stability and greatness. Chapter 4: War, Strategy, and Machiavelli's Military Philosophy. Machiavelli believed that military strength was the cornerstone of any stable and prosperous state. His views on warfare, outlined in both The Prince and The Art of War, emphasize the importance of preparation, discipline, and the integration of military strategy with political governance. For Machiavelli, a ruler who failed to secure their state militarily risked everything. One of Machiavelli's most striking ideas is his criticism of mercenary and auxiliary armies. He argued that relying on hired soldiers or foreign troops was a recipe for disaster. Mercenaries, motivated by profit rather than loyalty, could easily betray their employer, while auxiliaries, armies borrowed from other states, were often more dangerous than the enemies they were hired to fight. These forces, he wrote, were useless and dangerous. In contrast, Machiavelli championed the idea of citizen armies. He believed that soldiers drawn from the population of the state were more reliable, as their personal stakes in the survival of the state aligned with its defense. Citizen armies, he argued, fostered a sense of unity and civic responsibility, strengthening both the military and the society it served. Machiavelli's The Art of War, published in 1521, is his most comprehensive work on military strategy. Structured as a dialogue, it explores the principles of effective warfare and the relationship between military strength and political stability. He drew heavily on the successes of ancient Rome, praising its disciplined legions and the integration of military service into the fabric of society. Discipline, according to Machiavelli, was the foundation of a strong military. He believed that well-trained troops could overcome larger or better equipped forces through superior organization and morale. To this end, he stressed the importance of rigorous training and leadership, drawing lessons from Roman history and his own observations of contemporary armies. Another key theme in Machiavelli's military philosophy is the role of adaptability. He argued that no strategy, however well conceived, could account for all the uncertainties of war. Leaders must be prepared to adapt their plans to changing circumstances, responding swiftly and decisively to unforeseen challenges. This focus on flexibility reflects Machiavelli's broader concept of virtue. Machiavelli also linked military strength to political power. He believed that a ruler who commanded a strong army was better equipped to maintain order and deter internal and external threats. Conversely, a state without a robust military was vulnerable to invasion, rebellion, and collapse. For Machiavelli, the sword and the scepter were inseparable. The relationship between war and governance is central to Machiavelli's thought. He saw war not as an end in itself, but as a means of securing peace and stability. A ruler's ability to project strength, both domestically and internationally, was crucial to maintaining their authority and protecting their state from aggression. Machiavelli's pragmatic approach to war extended to his views on its morality. While he recognized the brutality of warfare, he believed that it was sometimes necessary to achieve political goals. He argued that leaders who hesitated to use force when required risked losing everything, including the very principles they sought to uphold. The lessons Machiavelli drew from history were pivotal to his military philosophy. He admired the Roman Republic for its ability to balance military innovation with political stability and criticized the Italian city-states of his own time for their reliance on mercenaries and lack of unified defense. He believed that Italy's vulnerability to foreign powers was a direct result of its military weaknesses. Machiavelli's military philosophy, though rooted in the context of Renaissance Italy, has had a lasting impact on the study of strategy and leadership. His emphasis on preparation, discipline, and adaptability remains relevant in modern discussions of warfare and governance. By linking military and political strength, he underscored the interconnected nature of power, a lesson that continues to resonate. Chapter 5: The Legacy of Niccolò Machiavelli. Niccolò Machiavelli's legacy is as complex as the ideas he explored. For centuries, his name has been synonymous with cunning, manipulation, and the ruthless pursuit of power. However, this popular image of Machiavelli as a mere advocate for deceit and tyranny fails to capture the depth and nuance of his thought. His works, particularly The Prince and Discourses on Livy, offer profound insights into the dynamics of power, leadership, and the human condition. One of Machiavelli's most significant contributions is his break from the idealistic traditions of earlier political philosophy. Before him, thinkers like Plato and Aristotle focused on how rulers should govern according to virtue and morality. Machiavelli, in contrast, prioritized the practical realities of power. He asked not how rulers ought to act, but how they must act to succeed in an unpredictable and often hostile world. Machiavelli's ideas continue to provoke debate among scholars and leaders. Was he advocating for immoral behavior or simply describing the harsh truths of governance? Some interpret his works as a guide for despots, while others see them as a critique of power and an attempt to protect the state from chaos. This ambiguity has made Machiavelli a perennial subject of discussion in both political theory and ethics. The term Machiavellian has entered the modern lexicon, often used to describe cunning and unscrupulous behavior. While this characterization is drawn primarily from The Prince, it overlooks Machiavelli's broader republican ideals. In Discourses on Livy, he champions liberty, civic engagement, and the importance of strong institutions, offering a vision of governance that values collective responsibility over autocratic rule. Machiavelli's impact extends far beyond the realm of politics. His insights into human behavior, particularly the interplay of ambition, fear, and self-interest, have influenced disciplines ranging from psychology to organizational leadership. His works have also inspired countless cultural depictions, from Shakespeare's scheming characters to modern political dramas, cementing his status as a symbol of power and intrigue. The historical context of Machiavelli's life is crucial to understanding his ideas. He lived in a time of political instability where the Italian city-states were constantly under threat from foreign powers and internal divisions. His first-hand experiences as a diplomat and observer of these struggles shaped his belief that strong, decisive leadership was essential for survival. His writings reflect not only his personal insights, but also his desire to see a unified and stable Italy. Modern political realism owes much to Machiavelli. His works laid the foundation for thinkers like Thomas Hobbes and Max Weber, who further explored the relationship between power, morality, and statecraft. His pragmatic approach continues to influence leaders navigating the complexities of governance, where idealism often collides with reality. Machiavelli's literary style also contributes to his enduring appeal. His writing is clear, concise, and deeply engaging, filled with vivid historical examples that bring his ideas to life. This accessibility has made his works a staple of political philosophy courses and a touchstone for anyone seeking to understand the nature of power. Despite the controversies surrounding his work, Machiavelli's relevance remains undiminished. His willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about leadership and human nature offers invaluable lessons for those in positions of authority. Whether as a guide or a cautionary figure, Machiavelli challenges us to think critically about the ethical and practical dimensions of power. Niccolò Machiavelli's legacy endures because of his ability to speak to universal themes that transcend his time. His writings are not just about the politics of Renaissance Italy, they are about the eternal struggles of leadership, morality, and human ambition. By examining these complexities, Machiavelli continues to inspire, challenge, and provoke, ensuring his place as one of history's most influential thinkers. Niccolò Machiavelli's life and works represent a bridge between the idealism of classical philosophy and the pragmatism of modern political thought. Through his observations of power and human nature, he provided a framework that remains as relevant today as it was in Renaissance Italy. His writings challenge us to confront the complexities of leadership, the tensions between morality and necessity, and the enduring nature of ambition. Machiavelli's enduring influence lies not only in his insights, but in his ability to provoke thought and debate. Whether celebrated as a realist or criticized as a cynic, his ideas continue to shape our understanding of politics, leadership, and the human condition. In exploring his legacy, we find not only the story of a man, but also a mirror reflecting the timeless dynamics of power and governance.